European command raising its watch level from possible crisis to potential imminent crisis. Not only that, we're going to talk about everything we have just found out. There is a lot going on overseas, and we're going to cover all of it right when we come back. Baby crazy, lazy, bringing out the baby. Love it, over it, oh, I'm above it. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a ton to cover, from Egyptian disasters blamed on moving the mummies. That's not a joke. 3 Egyptian disasters right after they announced moving mummies. Of course, there's a curse on one of the kings. We'll cover that later. We of course have everything going on with the 2 main adversaries of the U.S. Absolutely insane stuff. So stick around. This is probably going to be one of the best shows ever. I usually say we're going to have a good show. I think that's kind of usual for every show like this, but this one is definitely going to be packed. So this will hit in just a second. Of course, that watch actually raised because of what is going on in the Ukraine. Really crazy stuff. We're talking like this is the closest I think we've ever been, and I'll tell you why that as well. But first off, I want to let you know that nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else on the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. With that out of the way, we also want to let you know you can actually get our notifications directly from us at marfooglenews.com and push notifications directly to your phone. So if you've never been here before and you don't know when the show is, you can sign up for that. And then today's show is brought to you by NordVPN. Of course, if you use the code Marfoogle, you can get upwards of 70% off, and a small commission of that will go to us. So you'll save money and you'll help the channel at the same time. We are truly independent. We do not have a multi-channel network. We have no backup, so you are our backup. So thank you in advance, and again, it protects you. And then, of course, we back up everything we're going to show you here today. So when you watch us, you know exactly where your news and your stories come from. In fact, we make sure to make a bibliography for every live show like this, so you know exactly what source we used for what we have. There's very few channels that do a show like this that actually give you on the spot in a place where you can actually archive and go back and see the news and where it's coming from. You go to our website, marfooglenews.com. You'll look for this thumbnail. What's going on up there? Without notice, of course, and actually that's a picture of more space junk. Again, crazy stuff. Another fireball over the UK. Don't even understand how all of this stuff is coming in and people don't, know what's going on. On top of that, when you click on this, you will see all of the links, every authoritative source, where it comes from, exactly, so you can go and read the rest of the article if we don't cover it in full, or you can go back. What is awesome, up in the corner, there's a search feature. If you have a show from a year ago that you said, oh, remember Marf covered this, go up in that search corner, search keywords, and you'll be able to find one of our previous shows and when we covered that story. That is a pretty amazing thing, and it's a great tool for you to use when you're doing research about what's going on. I think that most of you do a lot of the work here, which brings me to my point today. I'm going to bring in Dex, and then we're going to talk about what is going on with this alert level. This is pretty insane. Dex is my co-host and my internet brother. What is going on, Dex, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, first of all, if you have not gone over to marfooglenews.com, you can actually go over to our other channel, Marfoogle News. There was a video called It Was Not Practice. My day started off with an email that basically said it wasn't practice. This was planning for the future or near future, and went in and talked about this drill that they did that was classified until recently. And this isn't a super old, this isn't 10 years old, 20 years old. This was a couple years ago when they were preparing basically a plan for that country over there, the one with all the surveillance and all that, the red colors, but with I guess Shanghai. Again, I'll explain why we're saying stuff weird too now. But again, that country, the one that has a social credit score and all that fun stuff over there, is basically doing a lot of stuff to tell the world that it's going to take Taiwan whether we like it or not. And we actually had this drill that basically put China using some sort of super bad thing that nobody ever uses, that's probably illegal even in the UN, NATO, and all that, using a weapon like that, and then taking out the bases, then taking out Taiwan, and then getting, then basically making a base out of that, and then taking other places from there. Now, that video like cut out at a perfect time. A lot of you were asking, like, what did you say in that 1 second? The word in that 1 second it cut out was cover up. In that exercise, they actually said that they were in the exercise. They had China doing an exercise, a massive exercise with their, of course, their ally. And then that exercise was to cover the amassing of things. Now that there's 200 ships amassing off of the Philippines, that's kind of crazy considering they just flew the most jets over Taiwan they've ever done, 20. 20 is like where you see out of a movie, like where you're watching, one of those movies where they invade the country and stuff, that kind of stuff. And you see all those planes above you. Straight out of sci-fi. Now, am I saying that that's happening? No. But what I am saying is that we are paying attention to every little thing that is going on right now because everything is happening at a very fast rate with world events. So we got to cover it and make sure we're responsible about it and cover them in a way where we know that we are backing up what we say, because we don't want to cause any undue kind of notice for this. So let's get right into it. We'll hit that imminent alert in a second here. First of all, let's start off with some soft stuff. Las Vegas, a UFO hotspot with military testing secret tech, ex-MOD worker claims. The Ministry of Defense MOD former UFO investigator has claimed that Las Vegas is now a hotspot for paranormal sightings with top secret MIL technology, often the cause. Dozens of videos have emerged over recent months showing unusual objects in the sky above the bustling city of Nevada, U.S. It says earlier this month, multiple witnesses claimed to spot a huge UFO and have previously seen sightings of a triangular craft, objects hurling at speeds of 1,000 miles per hour, which now we've seen some patents from the United States, from the patents, and we're like, that might be us or that might be somebody else, right? Because there is some pretty weird patents out there, and one of them is specifically, I think, for a triangular craft. And now with hypersonics, we don't know if that's actually, if that's ET or if that's U.S. So it says, following the sightings, Daily Star has spoken to former MOD employee Nick Pope about what he thinks they could be. It says, between 1991 and 1994, Nick worked at Secretariat Air Staff, SEC, which was more commonly known as the organization's UFO desk. It says that among his duties were investigating reports of UFO sightings to see if they posed any threat to national security. So he was more of like the Men in Black kind of thing, but on the more public side. It says LV was a hotspot, he told this site. Clearly, with some of that, there is some suspicion of some of these sightings are secret prototype aircraft or drones, and there will be things that are test flown that the public won't see for 10 or 20 years. Okay, Dex, one thing I pulled out of this is I love how this is a Ministry of Defense worker who is actually admitting that they are, in a lot of cases, 10 to 20 years ahead of where technology is. We've always said a lot of, almost anybody that looks into this stuff says, oh, well, we think that they're 10, 20, 30 years ahead in technology. Of course, the deep, dark secret Area 51 stuff. And this guy is admitting that, the public won't see most of this stuff for 10 or 20 years. This is top secret classified stuff that, if anything, it's used in silence, in quiet, and nobody knows what it was. In fact, some people believe that something like it was used last year in a certain city that went whoosh, right? Because we didn't have a super awesome explanation for it. They go, how did that actually happen? You know, some of these events around the world, I can guarantee this much, that some of them are being done by technology that we don't know about, that we don't even know exists, because it has to. There's no way around it.
Even in the past conflicts that we had in the iCountry, we had technology that even today we still don't talk much about. We only hear about it from reports from other military members that were there saying, hey, yeah, we had this thing that could project sound or make somebody feel hot or do these different things that we still haven't seen in the mainstream. Like, this stuff hasn't rolled out, and that's been many years
from the 70s
in the past. Yeah.
I mean, they were talking about that being used in embassies way back in the day, and now it's kind of popping up again in some of the U.S. embassies, being used by the other guys. Maybe they finally got their hands on the technology that we've even had callers. Remember the military caller that said that they used a thing that was mounted on top of a Humvee that would make somebody basically feel nauseous from, like, I think it was nauseous. I think it was actually, it wasn't like it didn't do anything super crazy, but it made the guy nauseous from like 300 yards away or something.
Right. And they had the other one, they sat up on the mountain and they projected sound down on top of the people, and they thought they were hearing the voice of God or something.
Yep.
Right?
And they put down their weapons.
Started running.
They put down their weapons and they ran. That has been a rumor, and I feel like that's not. I feel like that was something that may have actually happened. It's just gone. It was almost like an urban myth, right? Because it was showing up all this time. Watchwomen for Jesus. Wow, thanks, Marv. I keep getting Egypt. Yeah. No, wait until we get to the Egypt stuff. This is like, oh my gosh, the quotes out of that too. You just gotta wait for that. We're gonna cover that here in a second. Marv has the best mods, best news. Oh, thank you, and the mods, I'm sure, appreciate that. They put a lot of work in. Michelle Bybee glad I caught a live show. Guys, please keep up the amazing work. Much love. Thank you, Michelle Bybee. Thank you for supporting Independent. I appreciate your support, and thank you so much for being here and being for a long time, I believe. Brandon Mulray says, hey, Marv, Dex, and fam, I love the shows. I watch a replay all the time while I'm at work. Thank you for your content. You guys are my go-to news platform. You are doing an amazing job. God bless you and your family. Well, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. And then Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I might get a copy right just for saying your screen name. I don't even know how you got that. Only JC is the way to God. Jesus Christ. Amen, amen. And then Lisa Astray, Marv, me and my husband watch every video, and our whole family got into watching. I love your little shoutros. I could listen to it all day. Lisa, thank you for being the last one out, and I really do appreciate that. And, of course, that's my silly time. That's where I get to have fun, especially when I'm, talking about some stuff that's not fun, especially today. So I want to warn you, some of this stuff is going to... There's possibly some of you that may want to tune out for today's episode if you are easily kind of stressed out by world stuff. It's nothing, super bad, but it is super factual, and what is going on is pretty much a straight reflection of what is happening right now. And the writing's been on the wall for a long time, and I think finally, unfortunately, we may see some actual things going down. So, USA's DARPA plot giant flying aircraft carrier like Nick Fury's Avenger ship. This is a real thing. It says the Pentagon is planning to change the face of conflict fair with the development of flying aircraft carriers. No joke. Like a Avengers freaking helicarrier. Insane.
That's probably the big ones they've recently seen, those giant UFOs, right?
Well, I know, right? So if you remember the Phoenix Lights, everybody in town, including the mayor and like the sheriff and respectable people, a couple people with Harvard degrees, all said that they saw this huge mile-long triangle in the sky hovering silently above with, I think, 3 or 6 lights or something like that. And that was kind of the biggest, most talked about thing because so many people saw it and reported it. What if that was something like this that they were testing? some sort of silent technology that's on, a whole nother level, 10, 20 years ahead. Maybe they thought they could test it quietly, and maybe that was a test. I mean, they are the military, so they're the ones that are going to be firing shots if something's above. They're the ones who are going to be answering the phones when they call and report it. So they could have easily done a test for this 10, 15 years ago, and now they are, it's finally going to come out to the public. I think it's because finally these other countries caught up and they are doing stuff with sky and space, and it's almost like they know that they're going to be pulling it out, so we need to be the first one to come out with it so we don't look like they're getting ahead of us. It was funny that Russia came out with hypersonic, and now we have hypersonics that are like, 8 times or 12 times faster than theirs or something. So we probably had it before, and now we're just coming out with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, think about maneuverability, right? That's one of the things that's in this article, but I was just thinking about it myself. It's like when you think of a big ship on the water, it can't just turn on a dime. I mean, they do turn fast, right? If you've seen those big ships, especially ours, they can really book it. But, in this new hypersonic age, like we think about these hypersonics like being, nukes or whatever, right? But they could also just be, a ship buster, right? And you can't move a ship fast enough to deflect or get away from that like you can an airplane or an aircraft.
Exactly. I mean, and especially it's almost been too long for us not to have one. I mean, think about the things that they've had on a smaller scale, like the Harrier that can take off vertically and just go off. For a while, that was classified, and people didn't believe it. A plane that could land vertically, I mean, that was just, who would have thought that, or it could take off vertically? Nobody thought that was possible. Of course, then when it came out, I believe it was because I don't even think we were supposed to actually let that out to the public at first. I think it was because it had to be used in public because of a conflict, and people got video or photos of it. Brian Susmalich says, I thank God for what you guys do. Keep up the good work and stay safe. Love to the Fugel fam. And then thank you, Brian Susmalich. And then Fair Spirit, thank you, Do Nami. And then Kelly2334, it's so nice to see you here tonight. Tower Bearer says, I learned something yesterday. There is Huawei components in equipment on all of our towers that are sitting around. Tower Bearer, that's perfect for... You're our tower expert, Tower Bear. And then on these towers that, ping all of our mobile devices are being replaced. So you're saying that the technology that came from them that's on these mobile device towers is being replaced. That's a big deal. Think about what that would be financially if they're no longer dependent on that. Kelly2334, thank you for your support. So this is what I'm talking about with Egypt. Suez Canal chaos and 2 other disasters in Egypt blamed on Pharaoh's curse over plan to move Ramses. So including a building that actually collapsed and 18 people were the victim. This is not like this is actually something that is being said in Egypt, and they are superstitious in a lot of ways, in a lot of the culture there, and they do believe that it's because there was this announcement to move the mummies. In fact, they were going to move several of the mummies to a museum and then display them there right after they announced all this stuff went down. So, it's up to you if you believe or not, but let me just kind of explain exactly what we mean. It says a series of unfortunate incidents in Egypt, including the Suez Canal chaos and a train crash that took 32, have been pinned on the so-called curse of the pharaohs by superstitious social media users. It says in the last week, a number of travesties have plagued the country, all since it was announced 22 mummies would be transferred to a new museum, including the remains of King Ramesses II. So, it says, shortly after the news of the transfer, a mega ship became stuck in the Suez Canal, blocking the major shipping route in both directions for almost a week. It says the vital lane finally reopened yesterday after the Ever Given became grounded in the waterway in a perpendicular angle last Tuesday. Then on Friday, at least 32 were taken and dozens more injured on a 2-passenger train that collided head-to-head. And then, of course, shocking images showed people trapped inside the carriages, flipped upside down, surrounded by twisted metal and debris. So big deal there. That was a big thing, and a lot of people saw what was going on, and it was almost symbolic, the fact that they were there and stuck and looking out at people, almost like they were encaged. And then I'm sorry, I said head-to-head, and just to correct that, rammed into the rear of another train. And then in a further cruel twist, the following day, an apartment building collapsed in Cairo, leaving 18 gone. So this was one of the... Where's the quote for this? So I want to find... Okay, so, while many would put this down to a run of unbelievable bad luck, others are blaming an ancient curse believed to be inscribed on Tutankhamun's tomb, which reads, "Death will come quick, on quick wings for those who disturb the king's peace." So that is why they think that this is like some sort of Pharaoh's curse, because they say if you disturb the kings, or you disturb these pharaohs, that this curse will be released on the people doing it, or on the city. What do you think? Do you believe in this? Have you ever researched this kind of stuff? A lot of people, actually, it's a hobby to look into kind of hieroglyphs and things like this. My mom actually studied hieroglyphs for her entire life. She actually taught me a lot about hieroglyphs. So what do you think about this? Is this something that you think they're being a little bit too paranoid, or do you think that this very well could be what the deal was? I highly doubt it personally, but especially Suez Canal, same time as all this other stuff happened, main trade route, just kind of weird. Anyways, but and they said that the power went out on the ship, and then the power didn't go out. And it just so happens that my personal thought is, just hypothetically, what if it was a test run by another country to knock out a ship, put it like that? Who owns the ship? Where did, that kind of thing. And then just possible, if you did need to block that, just in case you wanted to start something off with another country, that would block people from going through that strait, and then it would cause them to go 24 days around Africa to actually get to certain areas where we might just have a big distraction conflict. Just saying. Pretty crazy stuff. Dex, do you have anything to say about Amun-Ra, or whatever his name is?
Tutankhamun and Ramses it's a very interesting thing if you want to study it. I think obviously the people there have their beliefs, and we all have ours as well. There are coincidences, but then sometimes it's just kind of, you want to like really look at it and say, wow, all of this stuff happened within a week. It was like boom, 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 boom. They announce it, then these things happen. It's kind of crazy when you look at it like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a trip. If you want to read the rest of this article, it'll be available on marfugelnews.com. Speaking of marfugelnews.com, if you would like to protect yourself, and this is something we've shown you, the reasons why, we've had guests on, and we've also basically told you why we think that this is a smart idea. There's a reason for any of our affiliates, the reason why we pick them. EMP Shield is because I believe at some point, at the very least, we will have a natural solar flare. So a CME type event like the Carrington event that knocked out telegraphs back, over 100 years ago. It was a horrible event for back then. Now, with more advanced and more fragile systems that are all totally dependent on these computer systems, if we have another one of those total blackout type scenario, that would be our worst case scenario in many countries, and I'm talking about around the world. So I would just ask that you check these out and do your research on them. Again, EMP Shield, the company, is actually done work not only for DHS, DOD, but in fact, they are on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid right now, along with now it seems like Tesla is going to be making backup batteries. Why are all these things happening? Of course, they know, and a lot of other people know, but us as civilians, we just kind of guess. But I will say this: if they are preparing their kind of buildings for it, then why aren't we? Are we going to look to them to protect us? I don't think that that's a smart thing to do. Do you? Just let me know in the comments. If you want to protect yourself against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3, go to marfugelnews.com/EMP. Go and check it out. It will also protect your house or any item that you end up getting the device for from lightning. Again, A great thing there just for anybody in the Midwest that gets a ton of lightning. And then, of course, the most sold product is for their car. You can do the car version in about 5 minutes yourself, and it will actually ground the signal from up to 40 plus EMPs. Again, they come in pulses to the actual frame of your car before it fries, so you won't be stuck out in the cold somewhere or in the dark. Again, that is marfugelnews.com/EMP. They are still doing their sale, which combines with our $50 off per device. So it is the best deal that you will get since last Black Friday. All right. Dex, I'm gonna hit the alert level. So I'm gonna have you come in as well. This kind of ties into what we've been talking about with everything. We're going to lose fast. U.S. Air Force held a conflict game that started with this, and I'm going to zoom in on this and highlight that. With a attack, right? It said last fall the U.S. Air Force simulated a conflict set more than a decade in the future. This is, of course, this is the drill. This is the part that actually got cut from my videos. Somehow live, it just buzzed out, and even on the replay, it just kind of skipped over that part. So it says, attack that swept through the U.S. bases and conflict ships in the Indo-Pacific region, where they currently have, just a side note, they have 200 maritime merchant military ships amassing off of the Philippines. And it says Indo-Pacific region, then a major military exercise was used as a cover for the deployment of a massive force. So if you can't see that, this is what they've been drilling for. This is what they've practiced for. And, of course, why do you think they practice for these things? Do you think that they practice? This is not a current thing. This was a couple years ago, and it was classified. It was only recently that they unclassified this. Why would they keep this a secret? Why isn't it like every other public drill that we do in massive drills, right? This was a very specific one. Maybe not to cause fear because of kind of how realistic it is.
Yeah, we got intelligence. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, our military is smart enough to use and gets enough intelligence from our intelligence organizations to actually know what they need to be drilling for. They drill in the dark because they know we may be in the dark, and there's lots of potentials for that. They're drilling for this exact scenario because we have, and this is just my opinion, it's not confirmed, but that the intelligence has told them this is a strong scenario, right? And this scenario is really interesting because when we look at what's happening in the scenario that they're drilling for, it can foretell what they expect to see happening. And when we see these things lining up, a lot of these things lining up, like you talked about with the ships outside in Indo-Pacific, all those maritime ships piling up, all of the flybys happening now around Taiwan, things like that. Yeah, it's really interesting to try and piece these pieces together.
I mean, and where it ends is that, I mean, this is a situation, this wouldn't be, by the way, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, they probably, you know, they'll look back and they'll go, oh, maybe that was the CV or something like that, right? No, this would be a much stronger type of event. And this would be something like, it's almost kind of crazy because even the CatDogCat has been talking about zombie stuff and all this weird stuff. What if it was something that crazy? What's even more crazy is that this sci-fi world that we have, you know, seen in movies and TV for so long is an actual fact as far as experiments that have been done. Talk about something that maybe would affect your brain to the point where you're so angry that you just do stuff, right? That's not actually that far-fetched. In fact, look at rabies in animals. Look at mad cow disease. Look at these kind of things. The zombie deer thing that happened. Think about that. Now think about if they could formulate, if they can formulate all this crazy stuff for people, as far as now they're talking about altering genetics and all this kind of stuff. Do you not think that they could alter our brain with something? Kind of crazy. So that, without getting into crazy stuff, look at what is actually happening. They are flying over Taiwan with huge amounts of jets, like not like a puffing our chest or kind of being an annoyance, like we're doing practice runs. They actually created a full-size replica of the Taipei, the cap area of that country, and they've been drilling, taking it over. As late as today, there are articles all over the place basically saying that for those that aren't ready to fight for them, right? If they take them over and just, hey, wash your hands, okay, you take it, don't realize how much is at stake, or they're being paid to not know what's at stake. Like, oh, no, that's cool, you take it. That's okay, because that will instantly put them above us in a lot of ways. That is a strategic resource. That country is a strategic resource. It is a huge one. If you don't know why, again, we will link a lot of stuff in the marfugelnews.com page, so you'll be able to see why it is so strategic and why it is so important. So, on top of that, look at everything that's happening. I mean, it's pretty simple. But what is crazy to me is that they did this exact drill, and now a lot of things are culminating. Look at the South China Sea. If you knew that 3 or 4 years ago, with them doing the South China Sea and the Spratly Islands, does it now make sense? Their heavenly mandate order, why they've been telling their troops to get ready. And now check this out. The situation with Ukraine. So it says that the U.S. military's European command raised its watch level from possible crisis, and I don't know how possible crisis, to potential imminent crisis. The highest level in response to the deployment of additional Russian troops. Dex, now, can you come in here on this? So this is an alert level, and now they are at the very highest.
Yeah, and it seems like what's going on is the between Russia and the Ukraine, this constant tug of war there. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but this constant tug has continued to escalate, and they're bringing in more and more troops. And there's been recent events that have happened where soldiers have perished. And so that has caused this tension to rise, right? And as that happens, we know that there's something that's about that potentially can spout off between these two countries, and we're aligned with one of them. So, and it's obviously not Russia. So, that's why our European command did this. But it's also telling, if they're saying they're going to the highest level, we need to think that we need to understand that's pretty serious. When they say that, they mean it. And it's not, on one hand, it'd be a little chest beating, but it's not.
By the way, you just cut out like a little bit and made this buzzing sound, which is super weird because during my live earlier on the other channel, that's exactly the sound that I heard in my own video. It cut out the cover part of it. So anyways.
I'm back.
All right. So raising it to this level on top of everything else, are people not starting to see what's kind of happening? And then I did bring up in my video earlier, think about this. What would you need to do this kind of island hopping type of take land type thing? You would need an amphibious carrier, or that would certainly help. Well, it's just so funny that the U.S., and we'll you can go back and you can actually type this in. You can type in amphibious carrier into my website, and you'll find the previous show where I covered this, where ours was magically on fire for 5 days, and it was magically on fire for 4 or 5 days. This was just 4 months after their carrier in port, not in battle, was on fire for 4 or 5 days. How did that happen? Both, not just like carriers, but amphibious carriers. So the back end of them, they can pull boats right up into it. So this isn't the carriers you saw in in Pearl, the movie Pearl Harbor. Yeah. These are the more very technologically advanced amphibious carriers that can then put out amphibious, boats and these amphibious ships that can go right up on land and island hop. And we might even be talking about retiring ours, which is funny. That was a perfectly good ship before this fire. And then their ship catches fire too. It's almost like this has been in the making and intelligence has been going back and forth. But guess what just happened? Solar Winds got all of our information. So if we did plan anything, they would know it. Solar Winds broke into everything. And then if you want to go really even further than that, and I'll just leave this for you guys, if you talk about the previous year of events, including, systems that would normally have a lot of trust in them, where people go and fill out things and all of that, and then the ties with all of the people that are now kind of, you could say that maybe this is all something to look at.
Well, Adam, the one thing that comes to my mind when I think about this, when you go back to the story you were talking about before, about the scenario we're planning for or we're drilling for, if they were to try to pull that off, if they being our adversary were to try to actually do that, what is the best way for them to be set up for success outside of just the things they described in that to actually happen? Well, on a worldwide scale, if you had conflict in the Middle East, that would be helpful because we would then have a lot of forces to avert it, right? Well, we're seeing that build up again, and we know there's a huge ally over there that's in the middle of it, one of the I countries. It's a big ally of our adversary there, of both of them, really, right? And they pretty much are the proxy for them. And then you would also have another potential conflict up in Europe where we're reading right now about this new threat level. And then if you were to cut off the ability to move the world's biggest, navy, cut off their ability to actually move quickly from one section of the world to the other by just taking a ship and blocking off a canal or multiple canals, that would be the prime way to set up them doing what we described in that drill earlier, right? Because it then really makes us very vulnerable and hard to defend. That's that scenario. Does that make sense?
By the way, did you ever find out, you looked into who owned the Ever Given, right? What kind of company was that? Do you know?
It's it's interesting the way that whole shipping business, there's an owner of the ship, there's an owner of the shipping company. And then there is obviously the freight that's on it. So the ship was actually owned by a Japanese company, but the shipping company that was running the ship is based out of, I believe, Taiwan.
Okay, and then and separately, that same time, we also had this European train route that had a rock slide that just happened to knock out the biggest European train trade route. Crazy enough, didn't you find out something about the train, or maybe not? Was that something that we looked into?
No, but it was just the timing, right? Like, so you take this pipeline of all this freight that's moving across the water, and it goes through that canal and hits Europe, and then it hits that train line to distribute through Europe, and that train line was taken out by a rock slide. I mean, of all things, right? That's easy for somebody to have done, and it also takes time to clean up, especially depending on where it is, right? So those are coincidences. We'll put some air quotes around that. Or are they? Question mark, right?
Yeah, no, that is inconvenient. Inconvenient.
If nothing else, it highlights vulnerabilities that we take for granted, right?
Absolutely. By the way, we are going to touch on this further. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the polls about some of the things that have kind of been coming out and how fast they are moving. There are a lot of weird things going on Earth-wise. Even locally here in Washington, we've had some very odd 2.9, almost 3.0 earthquakes in very odd and various places. So I would say for the West Coast, people need to be alert and just, understand that you live in an area that very well could have a tsunami and a 9+0 earthquake that is going to happen, that is guaranteed to happen. And right now, there's a lot of things happening as far as the Earth. We're seeing a lot of weird things. I just saw a comment from somebody saying that, where were they from? Ireland. And they're seeing a lot of dolphins wash up. A lot of countries are seeing this, where these animals are beaching themselves. And almost all of them are the kind of animals that navigate with the magnetic poles. They have an internal compass. And they're all just kind of beaching themselves. Very weird stuff is going on. If you don't know about that, I would highly recommend going and doing your own research and make sure that you do it with, with in mind that, you don't want to read the wrong thing, but try to back it up. Try to back it up with the second and third source that's not the same, that isn't pulling from the same information. You'll find that a lot of weird stuff is happening with tectonics, earthquakes in various places, straight out of the Bible. And then, of course, animals beaching themselves, extinctions, losing animals. Really crazy stuff.
Another interesting thing on the whole pole side of this is the measurement of that. They usually release this on an annual basis and more clearly on an every 5-year basis. And
That's right.
Because it's constantly circling, right? So it's making these circles just naturally by the rotation of potentially the Earth or whatever, causing that circle. And they have to average out the circles to actually be able to tell where the shift and where the move is happening. So it's not like we can really clearly see what happened day to day. We have to sort of look at it over time and watch this average, because it'll circle one way and then it'll circle the opposite way the same amount, like 6 months here and then 6 months back. But then you average the two and find out, okay, it really shifted overall so many miles.
And of course, now it looks like the Siberian blob that's kind of pulling it towards is pulling it so fast that they're updating it more and more and more and faster. It's just kind of crazy. It says, after studying the reversal of Earth's magnetic pole known to have occurred about 42,000 years ago, a science team led by Alan Cooper from South Australian Museum in Adelaide, Australia, concludes that the event had significant environmental repercussions, especially at lower and mid latitudes. That would almost explain why a lot of people are moving to different areas. That time period, known as Lachamps excursion, had anomalously high radiocarbon concentrations in the atmosphere, which were linked to a higher influx of radiation. Of course, weakening of the field, right? And it says when the reversal occurred within a span of about 1,000 years, Earth's magnetic field weakened drastically, and then the magnetic north and south poles flipped. And then, of course, temporary leaving surface-dwelling organisms largely unprotected from the sun and from other things, or at least from that radiation. It says previous studies have not found much of an environmental impact from the flip, but the conclusion was based primarily on ice cores from Greenland and Antarctica, which biased it toward higher latitude. What is even crazier is if you look into what the military is doing in Antarctica. It's actually a hot kind of subject that I've seen actually them lately cracking down on. Just recently, and this was kind of in our side pot of news today, is all of these Russian subs keep surfacing in the Arctic, and they are doing big explosives under the ice. It's like they are actually testing all of their weapons right now, all of them. In fact, there's a satellite image which was pretty epic, actually. It was the Russian sub surfacing next to this huge kind of hole in the ice. Let me show you real quick. And then, of course, Lucinda Kinlau, thank you so much for your support. And then, of course, Texas Janet Garden and Prepare, thank you so much. Let's see. Sub surfacing.
And do you think that adds the element of surprise? Like if you can move across the North Pole into, closer to our continent and then pop up from the ice, that gives you an advantage to being closer and undetected?
Yeah, absolutely. And they teased us a couple of years back. They even put it in a documentary where they took their sub and they came right into the Pacific Northwest and raised up and took a selfie, basically a picture of them popping up, and nobody detected them. They came into our country, basically into our waters, right up next to Seattle. That is creepy to me. And they said, hey, this is how good your defenses are, and this is how silent our subs are. Their subs just got right in. Watchwoman for Jesus have just dreamed of Pole Shift. Loved you all. Again, thank you. And then Merry Christmas 2.0 asked Dex, do you use PPC management? I have no idea what that means, but Dex, do you use PPC management? I don't even know what that is.
I don't know if that's the name of a specific product, but I'm not sure.
No, I guess not. Russian submarine surfaced beside huge hole blown in open. The ice seen in satellite imagery. So check that out. So that's them popping up, and they can pop up through the ice after. And then look at that. Underwater demolition. So what are they doing? Again, they're doing drills like crazy in the Antarctic. They are doing all sorts of things. I guess you can be the judge there. And then, again, with the polls, we're going to touch on that. I was hoping to have a guest here tonight, but we are not, so we're going to move that back a little bit. We have plenty more to talk about. It says...
Hey, Adam, there was a jet that flew in.
Holy moly. Who did that? Hold on. Jimmy Shively, you crazy mofo, says, Adam, Dex, and Mods, truly thank you for all your hard work and dedication. Love you all more than you know. Let there be light. Thank you, Jimmy Shively, and thank you. I'll probably put you at the top over on DLive. Have no fear. False evidence appearing real and false evidences has no chance around here. Jimmy, I appreciate you, and thank you. Whether you do that or not, you've been at every show. You seriously, thank you. And thank you everybody else, like Kelly2334 that have been here every day. Lisa K23, Divine, 1122, Bear Claws, That Chowky Gal, Sadistic One, Fun Size Cam, Jaded Jenny, Love Gange. All you guys are super awesome. Thank you so much for being here, and really do appreciate that. Thank you for supporting Independent. MC143, thank you for following. Welcome to the Fugel fam. Welcome to the Marfia. And then we've got Hexagonal Peach here tonight. And then, of course, Carolina Rods. And it says, God bless you all. Love this channel. Well, thank you. That is really appreciated. And you are appreciated. Let's see here. Jumpmaster, thanks again, too. China sharply reduces elected seats in Hong Kong legislature. So we'll talk about that here in a second. I do want to make, before it gets too stale, Sherry Staley Floyd. See what I did there? Thank you for being on top of it, guys and gals, with love and gratitude. Thank you, Sherry. Texas Janet, thank you. Merry Christmas 2.0. Again, thank you. Connie Henson, thank you as well. Truth Seeker says, thanks for everyone for sharing such great information. And Lola Cafe, thank you so much. WFJ says, I got Egypt where two seas met before it happened and dreamt of pole shift, says Watchwoman. And then Watchful and Alert, thank you for support. Tabitha Kelly, thank you guys for supporting. Dorothy Wright and Seraphina, thank you for supporting. China sharply reduces these elected seats in Hong Kong legislature. Of course, that was the last place, and they did take that, or at least they took it back earlier than thought as far as laws and everything else goes. It says China has sharply reduced the number of directly elected seats in Hong Kong's legislature in a setback for the territory's already beleaguered democracy movement. It says the changes were announced Tuesday after a 2-day meeting of China's top legislature. The legislature will be expanded to 90 seats, and only 20 will be elected by the public. Currently, about half of the 70-seat legislature, 35 seats, is directly elected. So, Dex, so are they actually taking...
Yeah, so Yeah, they're literally taking seats away, taking public seats away. Let's think of it like that.
Yeah,
Public
so they're putting
representation.
their law in.
Yeah, and so it's furthering the grip and the holdover and control. Really, control is what it comes down to of that country.
I feel so bad for them. There was millions in the streets. That is when they protested against the kind of laws going back to mainland. That I've never seen so many people in anything. How have you ever seen something like that? The person who did drone shots over Hong Kong when they were doing that protest was absolutely epic. I mean, stunning.
It didn't end. Like, that drone would fly from one end of the city to the other, and it was just an ocean of people. I've never seen that many people.
You could
together in
not
one place.
see, and we're talking about a city for miles. You couldn't see a single inch of concrete. It was so many people. Imagine where, everybody in an office building. It's like one of those epic moments where, one guy goes, I'm standing up, and then it's like one of those montage movements where everybody's like stepping forward and go, I stand up for this too, and I stand up for that too. Only it's the entire country got out in the streets. There was not one single person who wanted it to go to mainland. Not that wasn't getting paid, right? Even the police didn't want that. The police there didn't want that. Many police ended up secretly dressing as, they ended up being a part of the other side when they were off because they didn't want it. Think about that. Why would you want to choose living by their laws? Their laws, you can wake up without a kidney. I wish I was joking. If you're a prisoner in mainland China, I believe I'll say this. I believe that they found out that some of these prisoners were getting organs taken involuntarily. So, pretty crazy stuff. U.S. Navy orders 10th Virginia-class submarine. More orders, $1.8 billion modification to a 2019 contract. And then, of course, shipbuilder Huntington Ingalls Industries announced a contract on Monday to build a 10th Virginia-class submarine for the U.S. Navy. Its Newport News shipbuilding division partnered with General Dynamics, which is another one I've actually visited. Did a video back on that. General Dynamics, again, crazy stuff, received a $22 billion contract in 2019 to build 9 submarine with an option for a 10th, the company said in a press release. The contract calls for an additional vessel ordered by the Navy, bringing the total cost of the original contract to $24.1 billion. Otherwise known as Jeff Bezos toilet paper. It says, we are pleased that Congress supported the restoration of funding the 10th Virginia-class boat in Block V. Jason Ward, Vice President of Virginia-class submarine construction at Newport News Shipbuilding. It says, we look forward to building and delivering the final boat of the block that maintains production at 2 submarines per year and continues to stabilize the industrial base. They're not the only contract, and that means that there's multiple submarines being built, both public and private and confidential. So they are definitely beefing up. And then, okay, so a reminder, today's show was not only brought to you by NordVPN, but again, just to explain what that does, if you haven't gone through these guys already, everybody should have a protection in the cyber world. Of course, it hides your IP. If you do not have a VPN or a virtual private network, you should have one. Basically, what it does is it hides your IP, but it also stops people, governments, cities, adversaries from data logging your information. Also, it can protect your data while traveling if you're in public using Wi-Fi or your kids. Again, you can use this one account, get upwards of 70% off with our code Marfoogle. You will also get 6 devices, so you can use it on your kid's phone, your kid's laptop, your wife or husband's laptop. Either way, again, 6 devices for one price. 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to marfugalnews.com/VPN And on top of that, you will be helping a small channel like myself. All right, and we've got a Dropbox piece in here. I can't remember what that is, Dex. And then SpaceX crashes another Starship prototype. Dex,
yeah, the Dropbox one didn't load right. That's why we put it in Dropbox. But yeah, SpaceX, it seems like every time they test this thing, they crash it.
Oh, it did load right. Hold on. Well, it didn't load great, but basically this was the headlines. So it says, humans are rapidly losing the ability to procreate. I wonder what's happening there. I wonder who... So I did post. I posted a trivia, right, on Community Post, and I asked people. I said, "Hey, I'm going to put a few answers here: 3, 6, 8, 10, or 12. How many families do you believe own all media?" And we're talking about all media. 3, 6, 8, 10, or 12. A lot of people said 12. A lot of people said 10. A lot of people said 8. Few people got it. 6 families control all media. Well, how many families do you think control all of the food and industry, as far as some of these families that are basically running these corporations that are doing these genetically modified foods? I just wonder about those. I want to look more into it, and of course I will let you guys know what I find. It says the world is on track to be completely infertile by 2045, according to her projections. This is somebody's direct correlation or direct their findings. So we'll link that original on the website, marfugelnews.com. But you could see why they're starting to trip out here and send sperm to the moon and all this weird stuff. Maybe because we have to. Who knows? Or maybe that's the point. Maybe it's the Georgia Guidestone type of thing, you know. Get rid of us all. Don't know what that was. SpaceX crashes another Starship prototype. And what the company called a slight anomaly. No, I'm just kidding. That's what they called that one that exploded, and the public didn't see it until somebody leaked a video of it completely exploding into smithereens, and they called it a slight anomaly.
Well, Elon had a response to this one. He said, "At least the crater is in the right place."
That dude is just nuts, and he is literally connected with every part of the government, and can you pull up that tweet that he just did?
Oh yeah, let me get it. I'll put it on.
Oh my gosh, he just did this, like, we'll show you. Once you see it, you're going to be like, what the heck? So we've talked about his weird and cryptic tweets. This guy's connected. The Boring Company is boring deep underground bases. Well, okay, that's my guess, right? Because they're drilling tunnels for the government, boring out holes. Do you think that, what are they doing for the government on the side that's confidential? It's kind of stupid, considering we do know that the U.S. is preparing for either EMP or nuclear strikes just in case, right? It's a contingency plan. We do continuity of government plans. We do contingency plans. We do backup FEMA. If aliens landed right now, they have a FEMA plan for that. So, of course, they're doing it, right? So he not only is involved with Boring Company, he's involved with SpaceX, going to space and government contracts there. Neuralink is now getting DARPA and all these weird connections. And then Tesla, all 4 of his companies are now connected with the government in some way. Now they've seen Tesla actually backing up the Texas grid, or loading one of their Tesla huge batteries as a backup battery to a massive grid. So a massive battery. We're not talking about no Tesla car battery. We're talking about a thing the size of a building kind of battery.
Yeah, like 22,000 homes could power.
Yes, exactly. So they're doing some big things. Some big things are happening right now. Tabitha Kelly says, I don't get to catch you live often, but when I do, it's Dos Equis. No, I'm just kidding. I put that part in there. I don't get to catch you live often, but I watch all the replays. love what you do. Thank you for all you do. For all your hard work. What is the line? I'm not always a gentleman, but when I do, it's Dos Equis. Or is that Captain, what is that?
No, it's Dos Equis.
Is it Dos Equis?
The most interesting man in the world.
Yes. That's Occam's razor. What in the... Occam's, you don't have to do that, and you are already on that list. By the way, the previous Jimmy, you're on the list too. We are doing a piece for all the people that have done ninjets. That's 2 ninjets in one day. I am still kicking, just not as high. Love you all. Occam's razor, I hope you're doing all right, and thank you. End times, nice to see you here. Again, thank you so much. Thank you for your support, Occam's razor. That is appreciated. Okay. Let's pull up this tweet here. Dex just put it in my side thing here. So let's see. Look at this. It just keeps getting better and better. Okay. And this is Elon Musk's status. What was this, yesterday or was this today? This might have been today, right?
It was today.
Yeah, it was. Probably most in space you could possibly feel by being in a glass dome. So there was multiple reasons behind this, and the picture hasn't loaded, so you're not tripping. There's multiple things behind this. Tell me what you first think when you see this in the chat right now. So I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to show you the zoom in. It says, probably most in space you could possibly feel by being in a glass dome. Probably most in space. Why is it in quotes? I don't know. You could possibly feel by being in a glass dome. And it's a picture of apparently Earth with the moon in the background. And then this weird tip of the day type thing. And there's a guy with a camera in a glass dome up there. But when you first saw the picture, what did you think of? Exactly. Oh my gosh. Every single person put that. Exactly. The first thing I said to Dex, because I didn't zoom in yet, was FE, right? That subject that is down a whole other rabbit hole on, not this way, but this way. Because glass dome and all of that, and why did he do quotations? Like, why is Elon doing this stuff? If you haven't seen the previous tweets he's done, like he's done Dogecoin, where it looks like an actual, like the aftermath of a meteor, like this rush wall of smoke, like a meteor just hit Earth, and then he basically said, "Doge, it's coming," or something, talking about Dogecoin, and then that cloud had a face of a dog. And then he did one where it was an astronaut sitting on the moon, and he's looking at Earth, and the caption said, "Everybody's stressed out about the economy." And then the picture said, "But in reality," and it had the astronaut sitting there with the flag on the moon, and an asteroid has poked a hole right through Earth. So it shows the asteroid kind of like a arrow through a heart, right? It had an asteroid going through Earth. And it's like, why would somebody who's that connected, who is supposedly somebody that the government has gone to for asteroid defense, why would he post something like that?
Don't forget,
who is boring stuff underground and saying that we need to get to Mars by a certain year. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't forget, he also had the image. He took one of the images of the launch, but it was a time lapse. So it had the beam, it had the exhaust, but it looked like a beam of light.
Oh, that's right.
And everybody was thinking it was Mountain Dew, right?
Yes, he changed his picture. Kelly says, because he is a lunatic. Kelly.
He's trolling humanity.
He's literally the richest troll in the world. Elon Musk is one of the richest trolls in the world. Or is he just super scarily telling us what's really going on, and somehow but when the government was like, okay, can you just chill on that? Oh, but it's funny. What if he's with all the elites, like they're laughing, they're like, but actually, that's what it said in the tweet. But actually, and it showed a meteor hitting, and then somehow he's actually trying to get to Mars and terraform, and it's all of a sudden all these countries wanted to get to the moon. They're sending sperm samples to the moon. China and Russia want to make a moon base up there. China's making an artificial moon and sun. They've actually already have. They want to put an artificial moon in the sky for night light. Maybe they're actually not making the artificial moon for Earth. Maybe they're making the artificial moon satellite for the moon or for Mars. Anybody ever thought about that? Why do they have ghost cities in China that basically look like other places in the United States, and they're all uninhabited? Millions of rooms, millions of apartments and houses, all being unused. They say, oh, it's financial. It's so they can keep building and keep their economy going or whatever. They have all of these imports and money coming in from all over the world. I don't know. Keeps them working, right? Because they've got so much money. Don't know. And then Goochland County man suffers rare, severe... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to warn you on this one.
I know.
Let everybody go see the pictures on the website. Don't show them because they're on the screen. I just don't want you to scroll too far.
Yeah, no, I know. So on this one, there is, obviously, it says Goochland County man suffers rare, severe reaction. Now, you guys need to go over there for this because obviously it's that. So go over to our website, and this is a perfect time to introduce you over to this website. So if you weren't here in the beginning, basically we back up everything we say with an article or a source. If not, we make sure to clarify. So on there at the very bottom is web-only content. And web-only content is too hot for TV and is, possibly, one way or the other, or it falls into that category where, we can't cover it unbiased, right? So we put that over there so you can read it and be the judge for yourself and not be swayed either way, right? So we feel like that's very important to do now. Awake 2, thank you so much for your support. Tower Bear, Nelly 14, Kelly 2334. Special shout out to Gone Girl. Hope she's doing well somewhere. Jay Winch, we already lost China, has owned our petitions since the 1980s ish. Jay Winch, you very well may be right. I don't know if they owned all of them there, or not the most important one. Maybe now they do. Terabile Dehydrator, $150. Dry them veggies and fruit and jerky. Great suggestion. I don't have a problem with that. Rapture is coming, says Tower Bear. Or no, I'm sorry. That was Awake 2. Rapture is coming soon, says Awake 2. Snowboard, Scooby-Doo Ride, Mama Jeanine. Mama Jeanne, or Janine. Mama Jean, thank you for following. Welcome to the Mafia. And then Snowboard Akarushi, Bear Claws is here tonight. Thank you so much for everybody that's been here. And let's see. Tabitha Kelly, I really do appreciate that. Machina Opus from Australia says, I really love the way your tat always... Tima you a woo woo. Really love a way to tend to always get the a super chitza a super uber a tima a yaya a woohoo. Machina, I tried to do that at the best I could. Really love the way to tend to always. I hope you took your medicine. Okay. Thank you, Machina Opus. Go ahead.
Adam, I was going to give you two things. One, back to Elon real quick. This guy can control the world with just a tweet, right? Yet our entire cyber team in the government spent 30 days trying to create a meme and failed miserably.
Okay,
what does that tell you?
A lot of people don't know what you're talking about. So 20 days. 20 days. The previous show a couple days ago, we showed you how they spent thousands of dollars. A whole team, cyber team, came up with this like stupid cartoon with a bear dropping Halloween candy, and it said "Comrat," and it was like supposed to be like anti-Russia thing, and it was horrible. But he does one meme, and he can make the world turn. Exactly, Mike Honcho.
That's crazy.
Mike Honcho, XRP will bridge the central bank digital currencies, mass adoption incoming once our money goes digital. Research Ripple XRP. See, that's what if you don't have computers though, Mike Honcho? That's the only thing I worry about. That's why I feel like having gold and silver is also good to do. Again, I'm not gonna, grip onto the bars while people pull away and say, not be an old man. No crypto. But I'm just saying I don't know about it, and a lot of people aren't going to. They're too old to get into crypto. But again, all I'm saying though is, what do you do? And they go, well, it's on all the computers. Well, what if all the computers goes down? The thing is I don't put that past everything. And trust me, Dex is a tech. You're a tech crypto wizard. So he sees it a little bit differently too. So we're complete opposites.
Yeah, and I don't give advice, but yep. I know what's going on there. And you're right. If there's no power, it don't work. But it still exists. Eventually, when the power comes back on.
Thanks, Mike Honcho. Now me and Dex are gonna be arguing for hours. Bones, thank you. Cynthia Clark, I would love to see y'all collaborate with Jacob Israel. We have, and we will. Yeah, of course, Cynthia. We're always shouting out Jacob. If you guys haven't checked out Jacob, you should go do so. Hey, mods, love y'all. Ed Brown, thank you so much. Kara Fusilier, 888. I am always late, says Kara Fusilier with an $8.88 super chat. This cat is going to heaven. Pray for Jerry Gator, Pancreas, and Charlie Brown. CV on vent. Charlie Brown. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And I think we hit everybody. I don't believe there was anybody I missed, but if so,
did you see what was in Screener?
Let me see. One sec.
The PayPal stuff. And then while you're doing that, I have an update from a story that we talked about yesterday. The U.S. Strategic Command. It's being reported now, and you have to go find the sources, that the account was a child. The child actually, I guess, had access to it, and that was not a butt tweet.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
So, isn't that crazy?
So, and that's what they're saying, right? So, U.S. Stratcom did a tweet that was like LGC parentheses dot, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is U.S. Stratcom doing this. Is this a launch code?" People were actually concerned. Can you give me that tweet? Can you load that up so we can show that?
Yeah, 1 second.
It was, I mean, it's not even worth showing because it's literally a butt tweet, right? Well, apparently the update to that is that it was a child, indeed, that did that tweet. Is that crazy or what? And then Kimberly H. Again, we don't want to miss these people. Thank you so much for going over to PayPal during the show. Thank you for supporting Independent. Of course, PayPal, they take a lesser chunk, which means, of course, more for the channel. So thank you. Mario B says, just found your site. It has great info, and I believe in what you guys do. Thank you, Mario B. Thank you guys for both going over there. And then, wow. Okay, and cool. By the way, there's a big list. I'm going to say a list. There's a list. We're going to have a list of all the people that did Ninjets over the last year. Thank you, everybody. Moody Mom, Prep for Life, Gone Girl, N95 Hero, Redhead with Dreads, Cynthia Lynn, Nurse Betty, Stormy Weather, EOD Vet, Toss Dare, Veteran Steve, Stormy Weather, Blue Light, Kelly. Thank you guys. Again, we're coming up on I think we just passed a year over on DLive, and then we might be hitting 170,000 over on YouTube on Marfoogle News. I don't know if anybody's checked it lately, but I know we're probably getting close. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate all of you. Let's get that tweet up. And again, just to show you, People were freaking out about this. I got so many emails saying, I think it was launch codes. I don't believe what they're saying. And honestly, I mean, I bet they probably still don't believe it.
You got both tweets in there. I found the one where the person did the FOIA request.
Oh my gosh. So wait, you're saying that that's how they found out it was a child, is they did a FOIA?
Yeah, I just got this, so I don't have all the details, but the tweet sort of explains it. The second tweet, the first is just a link to the image from somebody that had created a screenshot of that image, because that tweet was obviously gone. They deleted it.
Oh my gosh, it goes down in history, and nobody will ever remember that, right? This was the tweet by U.S. Strategic Command. This is also one of the names that will pop up, or Northern Command. U.S. Strategic Command does alerts and stuff. But if you've ever had that kind of test, NORCOM does it, U.S. StratCom does it. This was the tweet. If it ever loads. That was it up there. It was semicolon L semicolon GM blah blah blah. And it says Michael Thalen filed a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, with the U.S. Strategic Command to see if I could learn anything about their gibberish tweet yesterday. It says it turns out their Twitter manager left his computer unattended, resulting in a very young child commandeering the keyboard. Oh my gosh. Like, that is the problem with working from home. You've got kids that are accessing government computers. Like, Jack Monkey, freaking close your computer. Put if you walk away, you should have your stuff locked up. What if the kid was an angsty teenager that are like, I'm going to get my dad fired, and writes out something like, we're going after an adversary, or we are launching missiles right now, or something. Think about that. Some 5-year-old or something walked up and dink, 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 or it could have been a cat. A cat could have done that. If either way, it freaked out people. So whatever. Well, Dex, thank you.
Another jet flew in. 3 now.
I don't think we've ever had that. I don't think in the history of DLive we've had 3. Lisa K23, just 3 jets, because what you do is important. Tatum, Dex, and Mons. You guys know you don't have to do that, and thank you, Lisa K23. Thank you, everybody that has supported this channel. Thank you. You seriously, I cannot say thank you enough. Thank you, and thank you. Everybody that has gifted out Marfia badges over on DLive, thank you. Everybody on YouTube that is YouTube fam, thank you so much. Again, thank your mods. They made it a very positive and amazing place. Again, for all you new people, again, remember to make sure you're subscribed to both channels, Marfoogle News and Marfoogle TV. They back each other up. They're like sharks versus jets after they made up. Okay, Dex, love you much.
Much love, brother. Great show.
Thank you so much for a beautiful show, and I appreciate you, and news only show tonight. And again, thank you for joining us on this beautiful, beautiful day. On beautiful News Tuesday. Running with Scissors, thank you, and that's okay. We'll start over just for you. Have a good night. It is now time for a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Walking on down the street, everybody really wanna go home with me, but when nobody can hang it, oh now they going back slanging. You Lionel O'Brien, got the COVID, I'll show you a showman. If you're doing that, to Hollywood. Everybody up to no good. Dabbing to Cali and Dorothy White, Clarafina, Dogville Night. Everybody really wanna do is some sight. I got the chai, the coffee, and the heavens calling. Cindy Palo 19, and everybody's calling. Appalled by everything they see. Offended like a Laura Griffey. I gotta bring you Kelly. I gotta bring you Joe Farm 2 and the Melly. Jelly. Gotta Mercer 1. Gotta bring you Jerry Hayes and the Hop Along. Hey, Bradley, Viking Scout. Everybody wanna go and they wanna get out. Cause they're stuck in their house locked down. Go on, girl, 777, thank you. Thank you, Jimmy Shively, too. Thank you, Lisa K. Bring it back with the big old A. I was the front side cam. I bring it back with this jam. Global Impact says night fam. Keishara says, oh, jam. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. 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 The harder they fall. Got the deep state of mind, everybody gotta find time with the peaceful waters and off the great rhyme. Hoping now bird fight. Gotta go back, now we gotta fight. For what we believe in and only seeing, everything in able-bodied and being. Gotta love the Donny Henny and the Jovi Bo. I'm gonna bring you Leah Walls OVO. Got Miss Marie and the Mess Ask. I'm about to go back and get her off my chest. Right now. Got the Sunny Beach girl and the Mama's boy. Peaceful Waters and the rest of Goy. Got the Laura Griffith, Bear Claws, and Jenny. Got a Miss Backman Benny. Hold now, T Potter. Going back, no big bump, big back with Big Mama. I got a toss, go right back like Ross. Freeman Chandler and Mr. Gentle Moss. Ross, gosh. I'd like to go and find you and draw and Texas too. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Lisa K, 23. Bring it back, bye-bye. Shively. Jimmy on the Shively, oh so lively. 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 I drive by me, Mr. Jimmy Shively. Bring her right back now. You go beside me. About to go right down that siding. If we're gonna get the Empress, gonna go back down and we done that. Oh, I got that Lisa Hall. I got Dark V and Mr. Mall. Darth Maul that is, and go on the in a dark mall that is. Once the lights go off, hey now only silver. Maybe only gold has a problem with that. Bugman of Bravely, everybody shake me like a dark under the sun. Or maybe it's the artificial Monday that we going back round Thor Orange, bringing it down now. Everybody knows them. Jimmy on the Shively, Jimmy on the Shive, 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 Jimmy on the I got to bring it back now. I just turn to glowing poor man's temper. Bring it on down. Hey, big thank you to CF Oliver. All the new names in this room: T-Town Tornado, Itchy Scratchy, Poor Man's Templar, Linda Covington, Pam Benedict, L.O.D. Will, Menacing Muskrat, Paths Through the Forest, and of course, Dustin Layton, Lee Warner, Shauna May, Poor Man, and of course, can't forget Save Your Sheeple. Save your sheeple, I'm gonna do that. Save your sheeple on it. Armor of God, hashtag the Abtala God LLC says, Marv, check my Christian movement. You inspired me. AOG, that is awesome. EOD Vets says, PayPal crypto merchant payments. Thumbs up, Dax. Machina Opus from Australia says, I appreciate ya. Thank you. Gotta bring it back, gotta bring it back. 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 Just wanna go right. Merry Christmas 2.0 fly. Mike Henshaw, 27 in the bones. Hang out and round on that goal. Nah, we're the city of car. Gonna get with Jacob in the Rio 4. Not far from here, oh so soon. Bring it right back like Vidal Sassoon. Got a rip on the circle on the big hat. Well, bring it back like butter on bread. Do it white tail on the mama style. Let's see what Jackson. Gotta go back, Trinity, deep fried. We're right back now, deep side. Now I'm gonna go back deep eye with the deep eye on the key seek light. Thank you for everybody that supported over on YouTube tonight. We appreciate it. We are truly independent. This is how independent rolls. If you're new, you're probably like, what the heck is this? It's like the credits, but much sillier. Gotta bring it on the fucking fight, go and beatbox it. Gotta bring it on the fucking fight, bring it on the beatbox it. Hey, special shout out to Ilea. Ilea, I see ya. I gotta do it background in the back now. Gotta go right down in the background. I gotta bring it on that shit on the back now. Chair dancing.
can stick with no Mike Henshaw. Bombs in the city, I got it on bro. Bring it on the down and bring it on the up. Merry Christmas, PSR 2.0. CR Wolverine, sneak near me. Lori Pine, them, everybody get out. Got a fucking fight, lion, no brain. Mr. Conan, bring it back again. On that COVID, show me, blow out the pain. Going right back, right straight to your brain. Q-tip goes in, no out. They giving you that big sauerkraut. Giving you that love, that DNA changing, ranging, rearranging stuff. No thanks for the mate or the cry. I don't want the date on the mind. Gotta know, no mark for me. I don't want a barcode on my nose sleeve. Death will come quick on the wings, the windows. Disturb the king's peace, gun on the route. No on the blood and the cop on the nose. Bring it back now and you got to hit the floor. I'll freestyle right with the Lola Cafe. Bring it right back like I said it all day. Hiya, 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 like a ninja. Gonna go back to nighta. Cali 2, 3, 3, 4. Peace and grace to all and no more. Nelly 14, hopping sin in the Matrix. 45 ministers, seller RC. Everybody wanna go over Jet B with the key shower. On the guys in Maui racing, realtor, heaven's calling in the Brayley. Forest farmer, everybody on the daily. On the lemons on the road, a Sadie. Oh, now me, Puppet O, Triple O, 7 off the wood. Everybody like a heaven, oh, heaven's calling. Oh, like Mr. Collin. On the Davis, on the baby, baby, Drones looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. Virgo news, where are you? Only news I use. More Virgo news. Drones looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. Looking outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse roams. Looking outside of my window. By the way, I want to pray for Jerry Gator. His pancreas is down. There's
there's just a lot more people we can pray for. Gone Girl 777 has had a lot of issues health-wise. We can pray for Susan Donahue. We can pray for Jeff Wills. Jeff is not so active in the chat, but he emailed me and said that he is going through cancer right now. Appreciate if we could pray for him. Stephen from North Carolina, I appreciate your email, and I am so sorry that you are going through what you are going through. I am praying for you as well.
Outside of my window, seeing a crescendo. I'm not going out there where apocalypse wrong. Frugal news, where are you? Only news I use, more frugal news.
All right, we're going to be hosting... Stick around in the chat over on D-Live. We're going to be hosting somebody. We're going to find somebody over here to be hosting somebody good, somebody respectful. Harder and harder to find, isn't it? Have a good night. Be safe.